بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين. I'm excited, like I'm coming to teach you this course, which is, as you see, American literature. It is a survey course about, American literature, right from the colonial period until the modern period. Today is an introductory class. I'm not going to explain anything, but rather just share with you the course outline, which includes the course description, the objectives of the course, the outcomes of the course, the methods of evaluation, and finally, I would be brainstorming with you because we don't want to waste time. This is a bulging course. We want to brainstorm a little bit about, America, American literature, American language, etc. So as you see, the course, as I mentioned here, is mainly designed as an introduction to American literature. So it's not, a course which is specialized. Right? It doesn't go deep. It's, only a survey course. It is intended to acquaint, the students with major American writers and their primary achievements. So we're not going to touch upon every American writer, but we are going to be very selective. So as you see, the span of the time the course, covers extends from the colonial period up to the 20th century. So we're going to start, right from the mess of history to investigate how America came into being. The crux of this course, the focus of this course is fairly, an elaborate study of selected works of some American writers. So we're going to choose some American writers. We're going to focus deep on the works of these writers. And this contradicts with, what I said at the beginning. It's a survey course. However, we're going to choose the representative text, standing for main American writers, main American themes, etc. As we said, this study is to elucidate the growth. The course will help to elaborate the growth of American literature in terms of themes. This is very important angle. We're going to trace the themes, how these themes emerged, how they developed, and even sometimes we're going to identify certain motifs. Recurrent themes in American literature. Okay, there will be, of course, in this course, we're going also to identify, the specific features of American literature, and perhaps in the brainstorming which comes, we might reach some today, at least identify some of these features, if possible. There will be a special on early American writers, the 19th century, which is perhaps the time where literature, American literature started to assume its independent identity. Okay, and in this course, of course, gender, and ethnicity are taken into consideration. We're going to choose texts which are representatives of all these categories. The course has objectives. Usually, before we teach a course, we, as teachers, decide upon the objectives of the course. It is important that teachers ask themselves why they are teaching, a course. And I think, here, I classified the objectives into three, categories. First of all, course competence, knowledge. What are you supposed to know in this course? You are supposed to be acquainted with the historical, the cultural, religious factors that gave rise and helped mentality, and focus on the distinctive features of American literature. Again, it's very important in this course to focus on the American mentality, the way of thinking. Also, to help the students acquire insight into, I would say, the contradictory, sometimes the contradictory character of the American literature. Because later you will see that the American literature the character has all the paradoxes. Okay? To reinforce the students' literary competence, because we are going to look at many texts. So this will add up to our, knowledge or repertoire of literature, like our knowledge of literature. To reinforce the students' literary competence through meticulous analysis of given text. Of course, these are the knowledge, as you see. But the skills, what kind of skills you're going to gain when you take a course like this? Of course, the first one, we want you to have the skill of reading, analyzing, criticizing, and evaluating. And again, we don't like to have students who just memorize information. So this course will be, student-centered, as well as, it's a mixture between teacher and the student-centered. The second one, the second skill objective is to reinforce the students' communication skills, such as presentation skills and debating skills. These skills, when you give a presentation, you stand here, you show that you are capable, it is supposed that this course will give you confidence. And this is very apt because your class is very small. To reinforce the students' ability of applying what they have learned, because here we're going to learn, we have to get information, and are we going to apply this to what we read? Because application is very important. The course value objectives, why we Palestinian Muslims, we are studying this. What are we supposed to do? Okay. So the course value objectives, as you see, to reinforce the students' sense of identity, who we are. Okay, because we're going to go through American literature, and I think one of the motif of American literature is the search of identity. Mm-hmm. Now, whatever we study, we are going to measure or to contrast ourselves, with them. Okay, so again, at the end of the course, our sense of identity should be deepened.
Enhanced.
Okay, to strengthen to boost the values of tolerance. Okay, we have to realize that the others are not like us, but it doesn't mean we have to have bias, to have prejudice. We have to understand, there are a lot of American values which are, similar to our values, So it's very important that we have this kind of communication. And sometimes we have values which are different from ours. It doesn't mean we are going to adopt these values, but we have to respect that we are different. Again, the last one is to deepen our Islamic concepts, either by comparing or contrasting with non-Islamic concepts. Okay? So these are the objectives, and the outcomes, are derived from the objectives. At the end of the course, the students are expected to accurately define the paradigms of American literature. The paradigms, the themes, the motifs, the characteristics, and so on. The second outcome, the students are expected to articulate this distinctive feature of American literature. Whenever they face a text, they have to identify it. And even sometimes whenever they want to teach a course, a lot of our students who graduated from this university and they had American literature, they started teaching American literature at the American school. And they were very, this course was very helpful to them. See what I mean? The students will have acquired the skill to trace certain themes through different periods of American literature. To trace how themes developed. Yes. To trace how certain features of American literature developed. The students also will have acquired, will have sharpened their interpretive skills of giving text, the students' scholarly skill, I mean the skill of research, because in this course, as we will see later, you are supposed to, conduct a research. Of course, the skills of discussion, communication, as we said, mainly like communication through, model. I mean, we'll have a forum. It is the model. You are going to exchange information and to interact. The students' communication skills, we mentioned that. The students' researching skills will have been developed, and the students' self-perception in terms of religion, culture, and identity. As you see, the outcomes are related to the objectives I have just, spoken about. Topics, what we are going to study. This is very important. This week is an introductory week. Okay, we're going to brainstorm we are going to set up the scene, the scene itself. We're going to look at the colonial period, when it started, how it started. It's a historical background, and we have, I put for you like on my page, a chapter. It's a guide to American literature. So we have to consider, from chapter 1 to chapter 4. This is the reading for next week. Okay. It's on my page. You'll find, it's a guide to an American literature. It's the Idiot Guide, It's called Idiot Guide. You might have seen that. Week 2, discussion of chapter 5 and 12. And then you have another book in week 2. It's reading 50 pages of another book, Introduction to American Literature. We have to read 50 pages and to discuss them. Of course, in these 2 weeks, the trajectory of the class will be like a seminar. So you are going to read. I'm going to listen to your response. I'm going to add, to illustrate. So this is what will happen. I'm not going to stand lecturing all the time. I'm going to see, because it's very important that you prepare. Okay, week 3, we're going to start looking at some early American writers, mainly women writers, and Anne Bradstreet would be the one whom we are going to look at. Then we are going to look, perhaps in the same week overlapping with the week 4, we're going to see the narrative of captivity and the restoration of Mary Rowlandson. It was a unique genre, like during the colonial period. And this is very interesting. You are going to enjoy it, I'm sure, because you're looking at a woman who was taken captive by the indigenous people, and she was going to narrate her own story. We're going to see whether we are going to sympathize or not to sympathize. We're going to see, certain themes and how, American literature emerged itself. Week 4, we're going to have some poetry for a famous American poet, Edward Taylor. We're going to see some, poems like Upon a Spider Catching a Fly, House Fairy, I'm the Living Bread. This is like a Puritan, writer, and it's very important to read this. In the same week, we're going to continue reading, from the colonial literature until page 90. Week 5, we have the central reading, which is Emerson, and we're going to read nature. We're not going to be examined at all in this. It's a little bit, not a huge, I would say. It's a treatise. It's about 120 pages. But you have to read it in order to understand, because this man was like the American philosopher who tried to articulate and to lay the boundaries of American literature. He was the prophet of the American, literature, the writers. He was trying to say what is American. So many of the values that came from the, in the 19th century were taken from Emerson. So it's very important. We cannot understand, analyze the 19th century literature without understanding, Emerson. Then the major, like in week 5 or 6, around this, we're going to look to have a point of entry in this week to our central book, which is Huckleberry Finn, a very interesting, very controversial book, and we're going to spend like 3 weeks, at least studying this book. So as you see, I'm dividing it in week 6, discussion of the first half, week 7, discussion of the second half. This is about 42 chapters, so we have to cover this to read. It's very important that we read. If you don't read, you'll be lagging behind. You cannot get whatever you want. So it's very important to read and to come ready for discussion. Week 7, this discussion of the second half of the Huckleberry Finn, and week 8, general likes. So we are going to spend 3 weeks reading this book. Then week 9, we're going to see another color. It's Edgar Allan Poe, The Fall of the House of Usher. You might have come across this in literary criticism. We're going to look at a poem, entitled The Raven. Week 10, Whitman, Song of Myself, The Astronomer, Goodbye to My Fancy. So there's poetry. This is 19th century. Week 11, the narrative of Frederick Douglass, African-American writer who wrote about his experience of slavery and his experience of, getting out of the chains of slavery. It's very important, Then, the midterm, I'm going to give you midterm. Last year I didn't give a midterm. So it's very important to give you a feedback, even though, it's going to be like, not difficult for you, but difficult for me. Week 12, Emily Dickinson, The Narrow Fellow, some poetry of Emily Dickinson, another 19th century, and we're going to compare and contrast her with Walt Whitman. Week 13, William Faulkner, A Rose for Emily, Ernest Hemingway's A Clean Well-Lighted Place. Week 14, we have a small play called The Sandbox. I might change this play. It's a debatable issue. We have Eugene O'Neill, Long Journey Night, like we might, take it instead of this. Methods of teaching, as we said, lecturing, seminars, group presentation and discussion. This is like me and you. As I said, it is student-centered, teacher-centered, It's not me. Like in some classes, in American classes, you have the professor talking all the time. Okay, we respect this, it's good, but as we said, this course has competence objectives as well as skill objectives. Okay? So lecturing, seminars, group presentation and discussion, weekly response on the model. Okay? Teaching aids, the board, like, the LCD, and perhaps, the videotaped class, which is going to benefit you. Okay, assessment, how you're going to be assessed. 20 marks will go for midterm, 10 marks for attendance and participation, and, you should attend regularly, 15 marks for weekly response, and, in fact, 2 reflections, it's 1. We are going to debate this. 10 marks for presentation, 15 marks for the final paper, and, you should know that this should be a scholarly. Whatever you learned in advanced should be applied here. Plagiarism is going to be penalized. I don't want to tell you what happened to the students who plagiarized last year in American literature. About 9 students failed the course because of plagiarism. We don't want anybody to plagiarize. This is, our university is a well-established university. We have to respect the academic honesty, the rules of academia very well. Okay. 30 marks for the final exam. Minuscule, so I'm killing the final exam. It's good.
Yes.
The books, you have a reader, you have compiled material, you have the text Huckleberry Finn, and other like texts will be there. Uh, some of the references I use, you might find them in the library. Some of them, you can borrow them from mine, okay? These are the references. Good. So basically, this is the course, as you see, and now it's time that we start brainstorming about, this is like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So, America. What do you know about America? America. What things do you know about America? Yes, please?
The core of capitalism.
Yes, it's a capitalist country. It's the center of capitalism. Yes. It is the center of the World Trade Center, was in America. But it's still like America is, the center of economy. So we're talking about money. Okay, money.
Yes.
And when we talk about money, we talk about materialism. And again, this is very important. Yes?
Yes, teacher. It's mainly a mixture of ethnicities and nationalities, because mainly it was a British Empire at the beginning, and then it was developed, and the whole nation is a mixture between different ethnicities.
Yes, so it is a multi-ethnic society. It's, like the demography of America is amalgamation or amalgam of many ethnicities, and this, is explained by the fact that many people, migrated to America, through like the 400 or the 500 years, and they're still migrating. But let me come to that point. Why is America like the center of trade? It's very important.
Maybe they existed the idea of globalization, so they have the freedom to control everything in.
So is it like the desire? But don't you think it is because America is a vast land? It is very affluent. It is full of abundant resources. That's what makes it like very rich, because of the natural resources it has, because of the vastness of America. Because America is a continent, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, half of the continent at least. Good. What things do you know about America? Okay. You don't know anything?
We know a lot.
Come on, you know a lot of things. What?
I know that America is known as a land of opportunities where you can find jobs or work easily. And also what we talk about in drama, that we have the American dream, which essentially some people misunderstand as it depends on the attractiveness and the personality. So we have some concept about America.
Yeah, it's very important, like you talk about this. It's the land of opportunities. Yes. The land of opportunities, whenever you go, you have a chance to succeed. You have a chance to make progress, because it's the land of great promises. It's the promised land. And what I say, it's the land, it's, you talked about the American dream.
Yes.
And in fact, the American dream would be one of the motifs, The American dream, in fact, started like it had many versions. And in Arthur Miller, the American dream had the version of what you said, the version of the materialistic dream, like how much you gain money, like it means you reach. But this American dream was acquiring. It started by, the spiritual American dream, like when the Puritans first came to America, their intent was to build a city upon the hill. So it was mainly a spiritual dream. This dream started to change and to acquire many versions. We still remember, like in the 80s, how Hollywood, became the version of American dream. So we are not talking about, a dream. It started, it evolved, and every time it was acquiring a new shape and a new version. Good. I like this. This is brainstorming, because the brainstorming will help us in, later whenever we read. We have to read with certain determiners in our mind. Yes, Asra?
Although it's important to mention that this society is glittering from the outside, even though it's fragmented from the inside, because it was governed by the racial discrimination, which was.
So we are talking about, like what you want to say, like this, America is known for its, contradictories,
Yeah,
like the
paradoxes from
contradictory aspects. It's paradoxical. We have, America, we have the rich people and we have the impoverished people. We have the privileged people and we have the disfranchised people. Like, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yes. And this is like what you know about America. It's the land of contraries, paradoxes.
Yeah.
And it seems like we need somebody like to bring all these together into a crucible of harmony. Good. So, America? Do you dream of going to America? Yes, Ala?
I watch also a lot of American movies. I
Okay.
noticed that
So we have now a vision of America through the movies. How is it?
I noticed that the conflict between the white and the black is always there.
It's always this, but like it is a little bit hackneyed now because the African American got their rights, and you have Obama is now the president of America. But some people say that Obama is the black man in the White House, and this is another paradox. See? Anyway, yes.
Just I wanted to say something about what Ala mentioned. They now in their movies
So do you think that the movies gives?
No.
The movies give different, image of America.
No, they bring a white girl, for example, and her friend is a black girl,
Uh-huh.
and their relationship is very good. And the mind sometimes the hero of the movie itself is a black man or a black girl. So they try to demolish this.
Yeah. So yes, you mean nowadays there is an American culture which thinks that slavery is beyond.
Yeah.
Anyway, in this course, like we're going to study texts which tackle the theme of slavery. Huckleberry Finn, and we're going to see how Huck did his utmost to free his friend Jim from slavery. Also, we're going to see, the issue of slavery in Douglas' narrative. So it is there. Good. Now, what do you know about America? That's it.
No.
Okay, so
We cannot neglect the political power, seeking to be the first empire in the world, like
Yes.
putting its hand in every place all over the world.
yeah, we don't have to forget that America is, a hegemonous country. It's a
Yeah.
country which, like controls all the world.
Yes.
Now it is monolateral. A word which is governed by monolateral power. Okay.
Relating to the
And again, like this has with, what we are going to see in the course, the frontier mentality.
Yeah.
America was a newly discovered, place, and all the time those discoverers were, going beyond the frontiers, like they were looking for a new territories, So it's in, the mentality of the American, like to keep moving, to govern, to, control,
Expand.
to expand.
Yes.
Okay.
Most of their actions and decisions are stem from colonial
Mentality.
settler
Okay.
ideology.
There is like, what makes you like reach this conclusion? Is it like the conflict in the Middle East and?
Basically, yes, it is the recent actions of them, and from the past when America was settled by the Indies, and American white people
Okay.
dominate them and control them and make them just like.
So do you want to say like, the American experience of settlement is similar to, the Israeli experience of coming to a land which is not theirs and settle in this land? Do you want to suggest this?
Yes,
some extent.
because they assume that they have absolute power. They want to control and dominate.
Okay. Yes, Asma.
Even though it's newly discovered, it controls the whole world.
Yeah. So it's not like it's not a country which has deeply cultural roots,
Yes.
but it is the paradox. It is a new country. It's which governs the whole world.
Rooted everywhere. Yeah.
Yes.
It controls all things in the world economy and media, and is the reason behind the media control and the historical background of propaganda. So it is how it is violate the whole image about what happens in other world.
Yeah, like they distort the image. You know, they focus on what they want. You know, say okay. Let's move to another question. You know, in fact, I prepared a couple of questions on the presentation, but unfortunately, we didn't get these questions. Yes, please.
Does America control the world from the very beginning, or after she?
No, America. You know, like when it was colonized by the British.
Yeah.
It was a British empire. So it was controlled by Britain, and there was a war called the War of Independence. You know, America got its independence in 1776, something like this, 4th of July. So they were, it was, let's say, it was a country or like an entity which belonged to a larger empire. Okay? But it was a colonial project right from the very beginning, because, the European, after the discovery of Columbus, like Columbus was the first one to land, in America in 1492. That was how many years ago? Almost 500 years ago, or even more. So after Columbus, many explorers were going there. Good. Now America was discovered. But do you think it was discovered abruptly? Was it like somebody, whenever people discover something, do you think they discover it without thinking about it, without reflecting, without meditating? No. Okay? If you remember in the course of poetry, we implied to some extent, like when Marlowe was saying, "Come live with me and be my love," he was, inviting. So, inviting people to go to a land which is not theirs, you see what I mean? And we deduced that there was some call for colonialism in that poem. So, it seems like, before America, had been discovered or was discovered, there had been many, literary things about America. Writers of the Renaissance period were dreaming, of going to America. Thomas More, the Utopia, and Spencer, the Shepherd's Calendar, and other pastoral poetry were,
Paving
the way for such, discovery. Good. Okay, it's American literature. Our course is American literature.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that American literature is going to be different from British literature? Do you think it will? How? It's very. And why should we study American literature? We said why should we study American literature? And have we studied American literature? You have just told me you studied Arthur Miller. This is American literature. Do you remember any of the, distinctive features which characterize, that play? Okay, other than the conflict between materialism and spiritualism. Do you remember any, feature, distinctive feature? Uh-huh.
You have such a concern that the father who is seeking to have a good living for his family, for example, and this is the same for every father in the world, not just American father. Also, Palestinian people are suffering here, of course, right? And also we have the
But this doesn't mean it is distinctive feature, you know?
yes.
It is Shakespearean, you know, like concern. It's universal.
Oh yes. You
So-
have something unique.
Yeah, I say distinctive features. You know?
It is to some extent because not all fathers all over the world cannot get their opportunities to make their life easier because the hero in the play died to have a decent life, but he couldn't.
So again, like, you know, I like what you say, the hero.
Yeah.
The notion of the hero. Americans are always hunting for the notion of the hero, but all the time, you know, this hunting came to nothing. They came to frustration.
Yeah.
You know, the pursuit, the hunt for a hero is typically American. You know, they always look for a hero, but they get frustrated when the hero is blemished. You see what I mean? You know, sometimes the hero dies, sometimes the hero has a problem, and so on. You know, their heroes are not perfect. This is like distinctive feature. You know, the idea of heroism is always elusive. Okay, what about symbolism? Huh? Like, what do you want to say? Symbolism? Like, is it like typically? What about, you know, postmodernism?
Yes.
Like, I have a book, like in American literature, it's called From Puritanism to Postmodernism. Why should we study literature, American literature? Because American literature, you know, I mean, modernism, the seeds of modernism emerged in the South of America with, you know, writers like, you know, Faulkner and other Southern writers. Postmodernism is, you know, exclusively American.
And the play is
So they dominate the literary scene nowadays. So don't you think it is fair? Yes, we are at the English department, and you know, it's very important that we should study, you know, American literature, which is written in, you know, English language, but it has its own identity.
Yeah.
But do you think like American literature, you know, acquired its independence quickly? How did it start? And when it started, when did it start? Did it start like quickly, you know? In this course, we are going to demarcate, you know, the beginning of American literature, which marks, you know, exactly like in this course, we're going to see the moment, you know, you, like, you arrive this land, the moment you start to observe and to write about this land, which is your American experience. Okay? Yes,
I wonder
Ella?
if there were American writers in the English canon.
Huh?
I wonder if there were American
Yeah,
writers.
nowadays they are possessing the canon, you know, like we're, I mean,
Like most of them are American? Or
yeah, nowadays the postmodernists, you know, are, you know, most of them are American. They, you know, dominate the canon as writers and as critics. You know, we saw in criticism how new
most of
criticism,
them
which
are
is like surrogate of modernism, it started in America. Most of the critics who came up with the new theory of reading literature were American, you know, and where they were Southern people. Okay.
Yes, teacher. To some extent, that their literature focused on the idea of feminism, giving rights to women, especially in Arthur Miller. He sheds lights.
Yeah, the idea of American dream, like, because, you know, this is a land of opportunity, and everyone, regardless of his color, of his gender, of his ethnicity, should have equal opportunities. You see?
It was a humanitarianism
Yes.
to some extent.
So we expect, like, you know, the American dream to be like the focus of, you know, many texts.
Yeah.
The American dream. Okay. I don't want to articulate the you know, distinctive features but next time we're going to see how America came into being in terms of colonization, who were the early settlers, and what kind of people they were, and what kind of writing they wrote. It's very important to understand the religious to have a religious background about those people, about their tenets, about their beliefs. It's very important to know how they settled, and what happened when they settled into the Virgin Land. Was it a Virgin Land? They called, America was named by those people as a Virgin Land. Virgin?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, this is, how, those who possess the power possess the language of naming, So, like it was, America had, the two Americas were, like before Columbus, they had many civilizations, mainly the Aztec civilization, which lasted for over 200 years. So there were many civilizations, many tribes having their rituals, having their lives. So America was not a virgin land, as they say.
As they claim, yeah.
It was full of people. But America, like
It's the role of propaganda again.
it's a country which was built on a sin, a great sin. Okay? What is the sin?
I just wanted to say something.
Yes, please.
About this idea that America, if we think when it became in this greatness after the World War II,
Mhm.
it made her its catastrophe in Japan and made them surrender to her. So
Why did they attack Japan?
I think Japan.
Because Japan attacked them.
Yes,
They were
that's
like
right,
those,
but not
you
in
know.
this cruelty and this.
Yeah, okay, but so it's a kind of retaliation. It's a kind of revenge. Now again, like revenge is something, unfortunately, I feel like not happy to say this, but the revenge is there. Like I was teaching the Scarlet Letter for Nathaniel Hawthorne, and Chillingworth was the husband of a lady who committed adultery. He was like, treating his victim, Dimmesdale, the one who had affair with his, wife. He doomed him. He destroyed him. His, will to revenge exceeded the limit of a human being. He was extremely diabolic. So revenge, is there. It doesn't mean of course there are many good characteristics, but there are many devilish characteristics. That's why we said the American are very friendly, peaceful, yet very violent, See what I mean? Okay, we don't want to talk a lot today. I think this is enough. Next time I want you to come ready with the 4 chapters from the Idiot's Guide, It doesn't mean that you are idiots or me an idiot, but this is these chapters are provocative. They will give us, some knowledge about the boundaries of American literature, how it started, certain American writers, mainly John Smith, Bradford, Winthrop, and others. So I wish you happy read, and thank you very much for being attentive and good listeners to me. Thank you.